Hey guys, it's Lauren and Leon, and we figured we would do a post, just the two of us, to give you a little bit of background of who we are and why we went to adopt or why we chose adoption. I guess chose adoption. I feel like God kind of chose adoption for us. Um,
I'd say going back even before kind of what we talked about, we both had it on our hearts that we would probably adopt at one point. We'd have a couple of kids of our own and then adopt one. Was
yeah,
kind of our plan.
yeah. God laughs at that. When we were dating, I told Leon that adoption was on my heart, and if it wasn't on his heart, then I couldn't date him anymore. Um, so he was like, "Yeah, no, I mean, whatever. Yeah, sounds great." Like most easygoing guy, like I throw a grenade in the room, and he's like, "Yeah, sure, whatever, we'll figure it out." So, um, yeah, so for me, like adoption was just always on my heart. Like I would see these videos they show you like in youth group and in Sunday school and stuff like that, and it would just like pour into me. And I knew that if I ever went and did like a mission trip. I couldn't think of what it was. Mission trip to like a third world country that like at the age of 14 I would want to come home with all the babies. Um and I just knew that you can't really have that. So fast forward to Leanna and I met. Threw it out there and I was like, hey, adoption is kind of a no-go for me. Like if you don't want adoption, I can't marry you. So he was for it. We got married. I mean, not just because we wanted to adopt, but
Like 4 years later.
yes, we dated for 4 years, got engaged, and then got married almost 5 years later. So um, we can touch on that another time if y'all want us to. But then we got married. We had one miscarriage, and then we had our son, Zake. And then we've had, yeah, he's pretty much like
He's 8 right now, so he's
8.5, almost 9. He'll be 9 in December.
He's kind of hitting that a little bit bratty stage, I guess.
Yeah, and the fact that we have like teenagers at our house all the time, he thinks that he's one of them, and he picks up on things like "oh," mm-hmm. and that sassy facial expressions that he gets from his dad. Yeah, and then we've had 4 miscarriages since we had Zake, so a total of 5. And
the doctors pretty much told us Zake was our miracle baby.
yeah.
And they said some bullcrap about an aspirin regimen, like we were going to try that or something.
You can't say that. It works for some people.
It does, but after 5 miscarriages, we weren't going to try something like that.
Yeah, like it would have been nice to have heard that after 2 or 3 or something like that. But it was 5 miscarriages and then that information that came out. So that just was kind of discouraging. But really grateful for the doctor that laid all of that information out there for us. Just wish that we had had that doctor
earlier.
Yeah, 3 miscarriages ago. Maybe would have had a different outcome.
So if y'all want to talk about miscarriages, we know a lot about that.
Yeah. Unfortunately, we do. But then we just kind of decided, like, okay, God's laid adoption on our hearts for so long. Let's talk about it. And it was really scary for me because as a mom and as a wife, especially as a wife, I felt like my duty was to give my husband children. And I felt like I couldn't. And so it was really hard for me to digest. And then
I just want to say, like, that's something that women put on themselves that they focus on a lot more than men do. Like, it's not like the man's like upset with you, like, you know, it's a problem that y'all have, is the way that the guy looks at it.
Right.
And the woman looks at it like it's a problem that she has.
And also, like, men grieve through miscarriages way more, or not way more, differently than women do. And so from me, it took, I think, miscarriage number 3 was when I finally looked at Leon, and I was just like, man, like, this is hard for you too. Like, it's not just hard for me, like, it's hard for you. And I just thought, like, for me, like, I was carrying the baby in me, and so it was my fault, and it was all of my responsibility, and I put this huge burden on myself of things that weren't realistic. And Leon finally set me down. He was just like, hey, like, this isn't all on you. Like, we're 100% in this marriage, and with that comes kids, and, like, you don't have to carry this burden alone. And so from a wife, like, that went more to me. It didn't mean that him saying that, like, instantly, like, I, like, my guilt of not being able to give him more children went away. It just meant that at that moment, like, him voicing that, like, I needed to hear it. And it was a reminder that, like, he grieves in a different way than I grieve. And God made women one way, and God made men another way. And we grieve differently. We do all things differently, but together, we're pretty great together. So, all that being aside, so I felt guilty because I couldn't give my husband any more kids, and I felt really guilty because I couldn't give my son a brother or sister that he really, really wanted. So, we started talking about adoption, and then one of my really close friends, her in-laws were fostering a little girl, and she called me up one day, and I'll never forget. I was sitting in the middle of the venue, and she called me, and she said, actually, she texted me, and she said, have you ever thought about adoption? Specifically, and she named the baby's name. And we had just spent, like, that weekend with them and all of that. And I was just like, man, I never thought I could be a girl mom. But in that moment, that weekend, like, I held her and I was like, I could be a girl mom. Like, I could do this. Probably not, like, as good as some other moms because I'm kind of a tomboy, but I could do it. So she sent me that text.
During this whole process, I'm like, a little girl? And I don't know how to girl.
He doesn't know how to girl.
But, like, I fell in love with that little girl. Her was so cute.
She was precious. And she will always be a part of our life. And she will always be a part of our story.
I don't know.
Well, she doesn't.
Maybe not part of our lives so much as part of our story.
Yeah, that's what I meant. Like, we don't necessarily get to see her, but just because we don't get to see her doesn't mean that, like, she didn't exist in our life. So with that being said, we went through foster to adopt process. Then towards the end of that process, we found out that the uncle wanted to adopt her. And at the moment, I was completely wrecked. Like, I thought my world was never, like, if you had told me a year and a half ago that I would be where I am today, I would have been like, you're full of it. Like, there is no way that I will be a functioning adult. But she, like, I feel as though, back up a second. I sat
back to where you said you were a functioning adult.
I am a functioning adult. Don't be rude. I sat in our living room, which is actually this room right now. It was just rearranged differently. And I sat in this chair over here, and I just remember pouring out to God and being like, God, is this what you want me to do? Like, I don't know. I don't know if this is what I'm supposed to do. And as clear as day, as if he was sitting here next to me like Leon is, I heard him say, this is my plan for you. And so I said, done, go. I got it. So we decided to move forward with that. And it did not sponsor by Fuzzies. And and it did not go as planned. And now I'm okay with it. We're okay with it.
I wouldn't change anything.
I wouldn't either. I feel like there was such a part of my heart that I had closed off.
I'd say it definitely strengthened certain relationships in our lives in the long run.
Absolutely. It made our relationship, like, I always thought our relationship was really, really strong, but coming out of that, like, it's like just.
I meant more with other people, but.
Well, I do too, but I'm just saying, like, with me and you. And then I need you to go over a second.
I don't know where you were going either. I'd just say that, I wouldn't change a thing about it. It was a devastating blow to us, but looking back on it now, like, I fully believe it was definitely what God wanted us to do, and he put us through that to put us where he wanted us in life and get us ready for the next chapter.
Yeah. So there was a total part of my heart that I felt like was actually, I didn't even know that I had shut it off. If I'm being real. I shut it off. I didn't want to address it. I didn't want to talk about it. To me, it didn't even exist. So with that baby, it was a little girl. It let me realize that I had like closed that completely off, and then I was able to. I feel through that, even though it wrecked me, and I never thought I would recover from that. It opened a different part of my heart that I didn't even know existed. With that part of my heart that opened, we we opened our home for another little girl. I'm probably going to cry. She's actually not a little girl. She is.
We were working with the youth. I had been working with the youth, and then Lauren came to work with the youth with me. And we had.
And another girl who has been with them since they were in 6th grade and holds a special, special place in their heart. I don't want to say her name because I don't know.
I'm just trying to figure out exactly what you're talking about.
I was just saying, like, it was me, you, and the other lady that was helping.
Oh, yeah. There was another lady who had worked with the girls since they were in the 6th grade, and she worked with youth with us. She was the girl leader, and I was the guy leader. I got that group of guys when they were like about halfway through 11th grade year, I guess, and I carried them through senior year. And that was an interesting set of challenges there, because that group of guys had just a revolving door of leaders kind of, either moving or just kind of walking away from what I understand. I wasn't there for it all. I just know what they told me. So, the first 6 months of being there with them, they were just waiting on me to leave. And then I guess they figured I wasn't gonna.
If you know us, you know we're not really leavers.
And then we started having the small group here at our house, and Lauren was like the host mom of the small group, and I led the guys, and the young lady I say young lady, she's like 10 years younger than us.
No, she's not.
Yeah, she's like her mid-20s.
Well, she's like a little babe. But we love her.
So she was, she had been with them since 6th grade with the girls. So she had great relationships with the girls. But there was a girl who just kind of had an interesting home life and just kind of different circumstances. She came to live with us for a little while. And that was, I don't know that we could have done that had it not been for our failed adoption.
And she is, I referred to her as my wink from God, because for a long time after everything happened with the other little girl, I felt like I wasn't listening, or I didn't hear God correctly, or any of that stuff. So for me,
it was very confusing when that fell through. We were like, hang on. Like, I know.
Yeah. Like, I know
God told me to do this.
Yes.
What's going on? And for me, it was even just like, okay, God's real, right? Like, I'm not imagining this in my head.
Yeah.
Like, what's going on? Like, God doesn't tell you to do something and then yank it out from under you, does he?
Sometimes.
But, apparently, you can learn things from stuff like that, and he'll put you in situations you don't understand.
Yeah. So this girl, she's my wink. And man, does she hold a special place in my heart. And I will touch more on her in another video, but not tonight because it's late and I don't have enough tears in me today. But we love her. And she's always going to be a daughter to me. They both in their own way, but specifically this girl that came to live with us. Love her beyond words. And she taught me so much about myself. And she was like my sidekick for 6 months. And when she left and she moved out, I shut everybody out. I was like, I don't want anything to do with anybody. I don't know what I'm doing. I can't function as an adult. Apparently, I question myself with that a lot. And then, like, all of a sudden, in comes Faith. And, like, Faith has always been a staple in our home since Embrace Grace. And her and Silas have always come over for dinners, always come over for just laughs and giggles. And she can't put Silas to sleep. And I'm like, yeah, bring me a baby. I just want to smell them because I like the babies. And Leon will change the diaper. Not really, but
don't change other people's kids' diapers. That's just weird to me.
No, Leon, how many baby diapers have you changed? Like
Zake's?
No, like other babies.
I don't know, like 2 maybe.
One diaper, and it was his niece, Tatum McKenna, and that's it. Are we allowed to say her name?
My niece's name? I think that's okay that we admitted that I have a niece and said her name. That's probably okay.
Okay. And like he held this special bond with her, and I said, it's just because you changed your diaper, like you're fine.
No, her loved me when I was a little kid.
Hers loved me more.
Whatever, don't talk of me.
Winning. Aunt goals right here. Okay, but back to SJ. She is. You get it? I'll talk to you later.
Apparently, Lauren's making up nicknames for people that I don't know.
If you know me, you have a nickname. So, yeah, we've been going for like 20 minutes on this. So, anyways,
probably no one's even watching this anymore.
It's not like we're live.
Yeah, but if you expect someone to watch this,
no, I know we're gonna have to edit it out. I think we need to do this like in 12 parts.
All right.
Anyways, income's faith. And that is a
Story for another day.
yeah. So
I wouldn't say in comes faith. I would say in starts this journey with faith. Like faith's like, hey, got a problem.
yeah, yes. In starts the journey. In starts our journey with faith.
This journey with faith.
This journey
This
with
journey
faith.
with faith. Yeah, it's not like we weren't on a journey with faith before, anyways.
And Baby Gray. Can we call him by his full name?
I don't see why not.
Griff.
I don't know if that's his full name.
Nickname?
Sure.
This is what I live with. Pushing everything that I do.
I'm
He's so literal. So literal.
The facts are the facts.
I don't know what I'm going to do with him.
Love you.
I guess adopt a baby.
Might as well.
Sounds good. See y'all next time.
Bye, kids.